everybody. I'm Elise as Another Truth on YouTube. Thank you so much for stopping by and listening to what I have to say. I hope you're all doing well and you're taking exceptional care of yourselves. Today, I just want to give a personal update and sort of a couple of quick conversations about what's going on in the YouTube community. I do anticipate making separate videos. I hope to have them done this week. It's just with the holiday coming up and all the things I have to do in the meantime, it's been really busy and crazy and weird the last few weeks, and I've been concentrating on that and having to work through my own healthcare stuff and mental health care stuff. It's been quite a challenge, but everything's okay, and everything will be okay because I'm strong enough to handle it and I dare to live. So, excuse me. So the personal update is, yes, I'm really very busy. I'm kind of losing interest in some things, and maybe it's just because I'm overwhelmed with a lot of the sudden changes in my life, things that I'm doing for myself to better myself, and just how I'm not really handling those changes. I mean, all the other noise that I've experienced, being harassed by people, not on YouTube, and all the real life things of kind of looking at the way that I view things, the way that I live, what I need to do, re-examining my interpersonal relationships once again. And I've had to make some tough choices. There are things probably coming down the pike I'm going to have to deal with as well. It's just part of life. It's part of living with others, in relation to others. And, I have to handle it as responsibly as an adult as I possibly can. I did have an experience where I had to deal with a family member who I'm not very close to, but I had to set the record straight on a few things. I had to stand up for myself, and whether or not they cared to listen to me or they believed me or they cared about what I said makes no difference to me whatsoever. As long as my experience is expressed and I remove myself from that situation as much as possible, the better that I will become, the stronger I'll become. I'm moving from their shadow of their constant guilt trips and criticisms, and I'm happy about that. But it's also sad because you feel sorry for the person self-sabotaging themselves. But at the same time, if I'm ever going to get anywhere, I had to remove myself from their shadow. I mean, it's almost like they invited that. They were particularly offensive, and I'm like, you know what? You're right. This is done. And you just have to let it go, whether or not they want to, whether or not that they accept it or believe it. It doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is, if they're giving signals that they're not supportive of you, they can't be supportive of you, they look at what you're doing as nothing, and they're submerged in their own dogma and their own beliefs and the way that they think. I can't live in that shadow, and I have to work on those own things for myself. I don't want to carry someone else's burden for them just because they're in a certain position in my life, but they're no longer part of my life, and they will be extricated completely from my life in other ways, legal, proper, respectful ways. That said, Um, Other than that, I'm not feeling particularly creative. Um, this art class wasn't as satisfying as I thought it would be, but I'll be in a more supportive environment in the spring. I'm not going in the winter to any art class or anything because I'm going to need to take a serious break from things, recoil, rest, because things are catching up to me and it's affecting my health and my mental health. So that's where I'm at, and I'm safe. Um, I do have supportive people in my life. I don't have fake friends, or I don't have friends who are bullies or who will do things to try to get me in trouble so that they can get their way. I'm not in that situation. There's a lot of that going on YouTube and on other aspects of the internet. Um, but I'm not in that situation. I'm in a relatively peaceful situation, but there's still a lot of things to work on. Now, as far as the YouTube stuff is concerned, there is a lot of troubling aspects to it, like the doxing, the harassment, the threats to people's lives, people bringing their children, whether their children are here on this planet or no more. A lot of very, very troubling drama, and it is going to come to a head. And there are some people on this platform I find very personally offensive because of the evidence brought forth of how they treat other people in the most disgusting, abominable, and abusive fashion. And I'm not going to get myself involved too much because I'm not a part of this network, but it seems like anything that you say, even if it's a comment that doesn't invite that dialogue or invite that trouble, anything can be taken as a threat to these bullies, because they will create any reason. It doesn't matter to go after people, to harass them, to hurt them, to compromise them, to put them in jeopardy, imperil them, by casing their houses and watching what people do, or threatening to off them or whatever. I mean, this is not, and I'm not even going to say this is not a high school, this is childish, because, I've made those references before, but there's a difference between adolescents and children going through stuff. And it's a completely different thing when middle-aged people are behaving like shitbags. And yes, they deserve to be called out. They deserve to have their asses handed back to them. They deserve to be held to account. I just wish that YouTube was a safer place, where these in Instagram and these social media places were a safer place, that people feel like they could report based on that, and they would act on it. And people kind of have to be their own defense system on these things because there is no other outlet to deal with it. But to be honest, we don't know really who or what we're dealing with on the internet. And people will go out of their way to use others. They'll manipulate and malign others, even get them into legal trouble to fight their own battles. I mean, we look at some of the stands and fans. I mean, we don't know them. I don't know them individually to the point whether or not that their defense of Colleen Ballinger, for instance, has hurt them socially or legally or anything like that. But one can imagine, right? Um, I don't know why. I don't know what it is about this atmosphere that allows people to lose themselves. The only thing that I can relate to is that I did lose myself in the internet for a long time because I felt like I had nothing else going for me, which was not true. You can't get validation from social media. That validation has to come to self-approval, and not the unhealthy kind that doesn't allow you to learn from your experiences or anything. And there's a lot of people seeking validation. There are a lot of people who don't find their lives enriching or interesting or worthy to be able to do things that could enrich them, or they don't know how. I mean, it is juicier being on a being in a drama community, because you get this instant gratification. People are paying attention to you. People are looking at you. People are responding to you. But that's not always the best thing in the world. I mean, some people are here just to strictly build a brand. It may be also why I kind of cringe when content creators say they love I love you guys, because people can take that seriously to heart, and people don't know the difference in such parasocial relationships between what is real and what is fantasy. And I would know that because I've had my own issues with dissociation or dissociative behavior. I'm not experiencing that now, but I'm just saying that I have that I have that understanding about that. But you know, I just don't understand. I mean, I wish, honestly, in my opinion, if people would stop giving money to these people. Don't send them gifts. Don't send them money. Don't, these troublemakers online. You're not gonna get the love and respect from them. They don't care about you. If they cared about you, they wouldn't let you spend your hard-earned money on them unless they're building a viable brand that makes sense. But a lot of these people are building nonsense based on bullying, abuse, and drama. They have no product to offer. They have no loyalty to their subscribers. They don't care about their subscribers. They don't care if their subscribers are imperiled by the hand signaling from these content creators that, yeah, go ahead and attack them because it'll make me feel better about myself. Go ahead and attack my adversaries for that. Okay, somebody who has 35 million people, for instance, okay, who's amassed a fortune by robbing people's online identity, usurping the other people's creativity, incorporating it as her own, wearing it as sort of a mask to hide what is empty about her own personality and identity. Um, that person has enough money to take care of themselves. So why are people trying to fight to defend her when she's doing the wrong thing the whole time? I don't understand that. I don't understand that. I don't understand why enough isn't being done structurally within the platform to stop this. It is, and I'm referring to Sniperwolf, for instance. It is part of stealing other people's work to enrich herself. I mean, she's literally absorbed other people's creativity, identities, online identities, not as an identity theft or anything, likeness, and all of these things, to mock, to harass, and to make money off of it. I think it's the most vile and contemptible thing, but I also think there's something seriously wrong with that individual. That person appears to be psychologically broken, in my opinion. Not a professional or anything, but that's not the point. I'll get into more of that when I make my own video, sort of like a reaction to that. what I saw. And maybe I'll do a reaction video to that other video I was talking about with the content creator who interviewed the person that Sniperwolf is essentially copying, whose identity, image, everything that she has replicated to enrich herself, apparently, allegedly. And then we have like the Katie Joys. She's still making up nonsense as usual. And I saw on Reddit that someone had posted one of her Instagram posts about her birthday. I didn't go back. I'm not against Katie Joy celebrating her birthday and being good to herself on her birthday or anything like that. I'm not going to shame her for that. But I find that I saw that, I guess, her t-shirts or something in this image where it's like smash the patriarchy and something about women and feminism. I laughed. I mean, I'm not saying that feminism doesn't have its problems, and I'm not saying that smashing the patriarchy is the only thing to do. I mean, it's deconstructing certain ideas in a way that is compassionate and understanding, but Katie's none of these. She does nothing in terms of contributing to that. She reinforces what the patriarchy is known to do by trying to stifle the creativity, the intellect, the individuality of other creators she resents because they are more popular, more intelligent, more thoughtful, or more controversial than she is. And when I say controversial in terms of their family connection, so she goes after, she kind of makes like the Duggar women responsible for their father's behavior. She's done this so many times in her actions. I mean, this isn't based on anything kind and compassionate and caring. And I don't think that's what she's trying to sell. I think she's just so deluded into thinking that she's a certain way and she's not. I understand that. It happens when you're not well in your mind. It happens when you're not well. You think you're something, you're not. Everybody goes through that. It's called, they feel like they're an imposter, the imposter syndrome, which is different. But we look in the mirror and we think, oh, well, we represent this, but what are we really representing? That would involve a lot of internal deconstruction of old ideas and things that don't work. Developing a level of empathy, understanding, putting yourself in other people's shoes. Katie Joy doesn't know how to do that. She doesn't. It's easy to be an armchair feminist. It's easy to be an armchair supporter, performative actions, But I'll talk more about that in an individual video. And, I wanted to bring up something about RadiantBritt's videos. And this isn't to trash RadiantBritt or anything like that. She did a makeup video criticizing what's out on the holiday. And yeah, she looks exasperated. She got really pissed off about that. And I understand she was blowing off steam. I think a lot of it was petty, and it ended up that I ended up going and actually liking a couple of things and picking them up for myself. Just it had a different effect. But she did make sense in that video, at least toward the end, that because of price gouging, I'm not even going to refer to it as inflation. Because of price gouging, because of all the economical problems people are having, and she just wants people to get value for what they buy. And I don't think that that's snarky. I think that is a genuine aspect of what, not, I don't know who she is, but I think it's a genuine aspect of what she's trying to bring across. It's just sometimes it doesn't always come out in the right way, because then the next video came out and she says, well, I'm being a Scrooge here. And it's like, self-deprecation isn't going to help. You know, I did agree with the face care thing or the skin care thing, because the skin is one of the most important vital organs of our bodies. And I would agree with her there. Some people have pointed out her hypocrisy and her pettiness, whatever. Even I had made a comment about that, but the skincare thing makes sense. That's about self-care and treating yourself with respect. I understand that. But the next thing was the Scrooge part, and that next video was a lot better. And she said she only buys like the 2 holiday things a year. I mean, that's the way she does it. People can do whatever they want. I have a lot of, I have Hanukkah and Christmas stuff. I have loads of it. This year I'm struggling to I even think about that Christmas tree and all these ornaments and stuff, and I want to decorate and everything. But I really am not feeling it this year. I'm not feeling it. And it's like, then why did I spend money on all of this? And I may put it up, I may not put it up. It depends. And she talked about some of her Christmases where they had the same kind of ornaments and stuff. Yes, my family and I went through that too. We had the same ornaments. But we also had cats and things, and the glass bulbs would shatter. We had very, very old Christmas ornaments. They were very delicate. We were young kids around it. We had pets, and some of them unfortunately met their end on the floor in pieces. But we had that, and I remember those. And she brought up about like Christmas, old vintage Christmas houses that light up. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember having stuff like that, And and that's what it's about. It's really about the experience. And she talked a lot about the struggle people are going through to try to put food on the table because of the price gouging, and worrying now. It's supposed to be a joyous time, but worrying, how am I going to get my kids their gifts? How am I going to compete with these influencers that have told us that we're essentially nothing without it? I'm not saying that that's what RadiantBritt said. That's just my interpretation, my understanding of what that might be like. And it's true. The heavy influencing, it could be of an idea or influencing people to do things terrible to other people. I mean, it's out of control. And, don't buy what, if influencers have glamorous homes or anything, it's for show. It's to sell a product. There are people who hard earn their way to that by bringing interesting, relevant, compassionate content, and that's different. And sometimes they don't have all of the bells and whistles because they had a certain type of a past, but they have built up themselves to be a respectable brand. But the way that brands are, they're shitty toward people with any kind of differences. And I can understand where RadiantBritt's coming from there. I mean, she's a lady with a lot of depth. She doesn't always doesn't always come out the right way. There are some things she's wrong about, and she's particularly antagonistic in other ways. But I do think that, it probably comes from certain life experiences, and there is depth to that, and I do appreciate it. So just to let people know, I'm not loyal to any particular YouTuber. I find nonsense and and interesting things in all types of people. We're not always right. We're flawed human beings, but we also have our own points of view, our own things going on, and we're not always going to say and do the right things. Now, it's much different if you're going out and stalking people or, hurling disgusting, inappropriate, ableist um, nonsense against children because you want to get back at somebody who had a disagreement with you. And I don't support people who are racist. I don't support any of those things. I may react to particular channels because I don't want their kids to be harassed. I don't want, we may not see eye to eye in things. I don't want the community to be a place where children are threatened, where people are threatened and abused and maligned and lied about, and that the platforms just let these things go. So, I mean, where do we go from here to make that change? Things have to change. And hopefully, I don't think it does the people who are causing the problems any a, it does a complete disservice to them if they're allowed to continue doing this self-sabotage behavior. These people that link together like that and they bully and harass people and dox them and consistently and compulsively say things, do things to try to weed people out. I mean, there's a fucking sickness, all right? And it's illegal in some circumstances. There are consequences for that. But it also invites a lot of um, backlash, and it might reinforce people to keep doing the wrong things for themselves. I mean, people need a level of discipline, and sometimes that means being booted off the platform. A person isn't a hero because they got booted off the platform for being an asshole to people or stalking people or maligning people, maligning the safety and well-being of content creators' children who have nothing to do with the adults griping with each other. Um, there's no, that's not being part of an army of worshipers. That's not being, that doesn't do anything productive. It's not productive. It's stupid and disgusting and it's embarrassing. You know, I don't know. I hope things change. But anyway, that's all I have to say on these things today.